Good morning, little Jays. Miss Frizzle is going to read The Magic School Bus Explores the Senses. Are you ready for another adventure? Okay, here we go. The Magic School Bus Explores the Senses. Our class was studying the senses, how people and animals know what's going on around them. We were doing experiments and writing reports. We were even learning a song about the senses to sing at an important parent-teacher meeting. The day before the meeting, we practiced our song 20 times. Hear a school bell ring, see a bright light shine, touch a cat's soft fur, you'll be just in time to come to your senses. It would have been easier if we had an ordinary teacher, but we didn't. We have Miss Frizzle. Looking at her dress made us forget the tune. Her shoes made us forget the words. And her wacky personality made us forget almost everything else. Class, the show is tomorrow evening. Taste a school bell ring, smell a bright light shine. Somehow, I don't think we'll be ready. When the school day was over, we went outside to warm up for a game. After a while, Miss Frizzle came out and got in her car. At the same moment, Mr. Wild, our new assistant principal, called to us. See you at the meeting tonight. Tonight, we groaned. Miss Frizzle thinks it's tomorrow. I'll have to tell her, said Mr. Wild. But it was too late. The Frizz was already driving away. Mr. Wild is a great assistant principal, but I don't think he can handle the bus. He does seem like a quiet sort of guy. He needs our help. I've got to catch up with Miss Frizzle, said Mr. Wild. To our surprise, he got behind the wheel of our bus. Believe us, we've had a lot of experience with that bus. We couldn't let Mr. Wild drive it, not all by himself. After all, he's only an assistant principal. He's not Miss Frizzle. We all jumped on board. Come back, Miss Frizzle! As Miss Frizzle went faster, some papers blew out of her car. They were her teacher's notes about the senses. Then they came flying in the windows of our bus, and we saved them for her. Mr. Wild drove carefully out of the parking lot. We were only a few cars behind the Frizz. We would catch up to her in no time. Don't lose sight of Miss Frizzle. No problem. She's hard to miss. That's an unusual car. I'll keep my eye on it. Then Mr. Wild saw a little green switch on the dashboard. Green means go, he muttered to himself, reaching for the switch. Don't touch it, we warned, but it was too late. Mr. Wild flipped the switch. He'd never been in a school bus like this one before, but we had plenty of times. We knew that something impossible was going to happen, and it did. The bus began to shrink. All I did was touch one little switch. Little is right. The bus shrank until it was no bigger than a speck of dust. A stiff breeze started up and blew us into the air. Ahead, we saw a big blue circle. In the middle of the circle was a black dot. It was a giant eye. The eye belonged to a police officer, and we blew right into it. Oops, I have something in my eye. Before the officer could blink us out, Mr. Wild saw a rainbow-colored layer. Leave the lever alone, we yelled. But he couldn't resist. He pulled the lever and the bus slid smoothly through the cornea, the clear covering that protects the iris and the pupil. Beyond the cornea, we passed through a sea of clear liquid, past the blue iris, through the pupil. Who knew driving a bus was so much fun? Asked Mr. Wild. I'm driving into an eye? I can't believe it, Phoebe. At my old school bus, pupils never went into a pupil. My class is really into the human eye. They'd better look out. Mr. Wild was going wild. I should have been a school bus driver instead of an assistant principal, he exclaimed. As we slipped through the clear lens of the eye, we weren't the only ones going through. Rays of light went through also. The lens focused the light to make a sharp picture on the retina, a layer of cells in the back of the eye. Let's go to the retina, said Mr. Wild, gunning the engine. There was no stopping him now. The teacher's note said the retina was made up of special cells called rods and cones. These cells change the light that falls on them. A pattern of light becomes a pattern of nerve signals going to the brain. It's like translating one language into another, said Tim. The rods and cones translate light language to nerve language. I'm actually driving through the lens. I guess Mr. Wild isn't so quiet after all. Our bus is having a weird effect on him. We're using our own cones and rods to see someone else's cones and rods. Mr. Wild had forgotten all about delivering his message to the Frizz. All he cared about was driving the bus. All we cared about was finding Miss Frizzle. Keisha flipped through the teacher's notes, trying to figure out where we were. Look, here's a map of the retina, she said. The spot in the center of the retina is the fovea. That's the part of the eye we use when we're looking directly at something. Should I get the green shoes or the blue? Both colors are great. Turn around, Mr. W. Take our advice. I'm through taking advice. From now on, I'm taking chances. What is it about people who drive the bus? What's the other round spot on the retina, we asked. It's called the blind spot, answered Keisha. Everyone is blind in that little spot on the eye. It's where the nerves in the eye come together. They form a bundle called the optic nerve, which runs from the eye to the brain. A smile spread over Mr. Wild's face as he steered the bus into the optic nerve. Vroom, vroom! I get to drive to a brain. It's a good place to do some thinking. Maybe we'll think of a way to reach the Frizz. We rolled out onto the surface of the brain. It's called the cerebral cortex. We have to keep track of the Frizz, said Ralphie. Look for the part of the cortex that gets messages from the eyes. Everyone scrambled off the bus and spread out. Wanda called from the back of the brain, here it is! We ran to join Wanda on the vision center of the brain. Somehow, we saw what Officer Jones saw. We found the brain's vision center. Now we can see Miss Frizzle. So that's where she gets her clothes. There was Miss Frizzle in a dress shop, buying a dress with optical illusions on it. We called for help, but of course she couldn't hear us. She didn't know that Mr. Wild was driving the bus. She didn't know that her class was in a brain. She didn't know that everything was totally out of control, and we couldn't tell her. It's perfect for you. I can't wait till my students see it. Then we felt something rumbling. Officer Jones was on his motorcycle, riding away. We had to stay close to the Frizz. We jumped on the bus, and Mr. Wild swerved back onto the path of nerves that led to the eye. Our bus teetered on the edge of the eyelid, then dropped through the eyelashes. When we looked down, we saw an ear. We have to get out of here. We have to get closer to the Frizz. We have to get accident insurance. Look at me, no hands. We were falling into the ear of a little kid who was looking in a toy store window. We went straight into his ear canal. Whoosh! We slid all the way down. Here we come. I think you mean here we come. Time to leave, Richie. Coming, Mom. At the end of the ear canal, we hit a thin, stretchy membrane called the eardrum. We came tumbling out of the bus. Just as some sound waves entered the ear, they made the eardrum vibrate. We vibrated right along, so the eardrum and through the eardrum and into the middle ear. So did our bus. Eardrums sure are bouncy. They must make them vibrate better, just like real drums. There was nothing in the middle ear except air and 3 ossicles, small bones that carry sound vibrations. Sound waves traveled from one bone to the next. We went too, and the bus rolled behind us. I'm climbing giant bones! These ossicles seem big to us, but they're actually the smallest bones in the human body. We're actually the smallest human bodies in these bones. Then we came to another stretchy membrane. This one was called the oval window. The last ossicle, the stirrup, was resting right on top of it. Dorothy Ann read from Miss Frizzle's notes. Children, the oval window separates the middle ear from the inner ear. Inner ear, here we come, shouted Wanda. As we went through, we were going to the inner ear, whether we liked it or not. So far, all the parts of the ear had only one job, to carry vibrations. To the inner ear, we saw the part that receives vibrations called the cochlea. We swam through the liquid inside the cochlea. We saw cells that looked like tiny hairs. Miss Frizzle's note said, hair cells are sound receptors. They translate sound vibrations into nerve signals. As soon as we were on the bus again, Mr. Wild followed the nerve signals along the auditory nerve. I'm shaking like a leaf. I'm shaking like an ossicle. It's all these sound waves. Wow, I get to drive into the brain twice. Once was not enough? This time we went to a different part of the cortex, the hearing center for the ear we were in. As soon as we were standing on it, we could somehow hear what the little kid heard. It was Miss Frizzle reading from her things to do list. She was nearby. Maybe there was still hope. Maybe the Frizz could rescue us. Number 3, have pizza with M. What does M stand for? Maybe she's meeting a friend named Mary or Matthew. Maybe she wants mushrooms on her pizza. It could mean anything. So anything starts with an A. Then we heard heels clicking on the sidewalk. They were Miss Frizzle's heels. She was walking away. We had to follow her, so we ran for the bus. We sped over the brain, into the auditory nerve, through the ear, and out the ear canal. Then we started falling. Wee-hee, I'm skydiving. Don't you need a parachute for that? Miss Frizzle, wait for us. We need help. I don't think she can hear us. I sure am hungry. This time, there was no soft ear to catch us. We saw the hard sidewalk rushing up at us. Then, just before our bus crashed, something amazing happened. A friendly dog, smelling away along Main Street, sniffed us up. It's a long way down. Not long enough. We're going to crash. Soon. Now. At first, we were happy because we were safe. Then the full impact of our situation hit us. We were inside a dog's nose. This is a nightmare. It's slimy too. We'll never find Miss Frizzle now. My students have a nose for adventure. Not me. Dogs get a lot of information just by smell. In a dog's nose, we saw tunnels of bone all coated with smell receptors. Miss Frizzle's note said, when the dog breathes, molecules come in with the air. They stick to the small cells in the nose. Then the cells send messages to the smell areas in the dog's brain. We can smell what the dog smells. I smell hamsters. We're coming to the pet store. Mr. Wild drove to one of the smell areas. Then we could smell what the dog smelled. It was easy to tell when we were close to the pizza restaurant. I smell books. We're near the library. I smell flowers. We're passing the flower shop. I smell poodle. All I smell is a puddle. I love your outfit, Valerie. Yours is great too, Mom. I smell pizza. It's like the pizza place. Let's get out and have some pizza, said Mr. Wild. For once, we all approved of his plan. He drove out of the brain and back to the nose. Just then, the dog sneezed and the bus flew out. Through the windows, we saw the Frizz sitting at a table. Splash down! We landed right in her water glass. Look, it's the Frizz. She's eating pizza with her mom. So that's what the M stands for. The bus got a good washing. It needed one. Then a waiter accidentally knocked over the glass. We were tossed onto Miss Frizzle's pizza. Mr. Wild tried to get away, but the pizza had extra cheese. While we were spinning on our wheels, the Frizz decided to take a bite. I wish my class could be here. They must be great kids. Oh, yes, they are, and they love pizza too. We're landing on Miss Frizzle's pizza. Uh-oh, she looks hungry. Sorry, Miss Frizzle just took a tumble, but now she's back. It's kind of a tumbling in with the pizza. Okay, we've been chewed out by teachers before, but this was ridiculous. We had to escape fast. Mr. Wild gunned the engine and the bus lurched out of the cheese and onto Miss Frizzle's tongue. It was covered with bumps. Between the bumps were deep gaps. Looking down onto one, we saw food molecules being washed into the taste buds by saliva. Then a wave swept us down too. We have to get away from those big, strong, gleaming white teeth. Don't worry, we'll be safe down in the gap. We could have hidden out in the gap until Miss Frizzle finished chewing, but that must have seemed too boring to Mr. Wild. He had school bus fever. He hung a sharp left into one of the taste buds. The taste cells inside of the bud were changing the taste into nerve messages. Vroom, vroom! This will give us a taste of excitement. I prefer the taste of chocolate myself. Before we knew it, we were traveling on a pathway of nerves to a taste area of Miss Frizzle's brain. We climbed off the bus and stood on her taste cortex. Now we could taste what our teacher tasted. Woohoo! It's our fourth visit to the brain. This time it's Miss Frizzle's brain. Uh-oh, this could be our most dangerous trip yet. We thought we'd love the taste of Miss Frizzle's pizza, but yuck. It was covered with anchovies. We were so grossed out that we ran away from the taste area of the brain as fast as we could. Luckily, Mr. Wild followed us on the bus. Ah, this pizza is awful. Hasn't she heard of pepperoni? Don't talk, run. Wait for me. We ended up on the part of the brain that gets touch messages from the hand. Once we were standing on it, we could somehow feel what Miss Frizzle felt. When she felt something hot or cold or hard or soft, we did too. Brr, she's touching something cold. Now I feel something warm. Do you feel something soft? Let's see where this nerve goes. Back on the bus, said Mr. Wild. Back on the bus, we zoomed along the nerve pathways leading away from Miss Frizzle's brain. At the end of the nerves were the receptor cells in her skin. We're traveling to Miss Frizzle's skin. It takes a lot of nerve to go there. Look at all the weird receptor cells in there. said Mr. Wild, driving out through a pore in the skin. Up ahead, we saw the Frizz petting her mom's nice, soft cat. Mr. Wild drove so fast that the bus flew right off Miss Frizzle's hand and into the cat's inner ear. Not another ear. What a catastrophe. Ears aren't just for hearing. They keep you upright too. We passed a small-shaped cochlea used for hearing. Then we came to some hollow tubes. They were used for balancing. We hung on for dear life as we felt the cat jump. Next, we heard the rumble of a car engine. Seatbelts, everyone, yelled Miss Frizzle, and off we went. Shall we take a ride? Great idea, Val. Fred loves cars. Then the Frizz made a sudden swerve, and we were catapulted out of the car. We landed on the road behind Miss Frizzle's car as the bus grew to its regular size again. Mr. Wild beeped the horn, and Miss Frizzle pulled over. It's Mr. Wild and my class. What a coincidence. I can't wait to meet them. We told her about the meeting, and in no time we were all back on our way back to school. You must be Arnold. I've heard so much about you. Uh-oh. Miss Frizzle, you'll never believe this bus. Never say never, Mr. Wild. We got there just in time to sing our song and check out the refreshment table. Then, what a surprise, Miss Frizzle got an award. If anyone deserves an award, it's the Frizz. She's the most sensational teacher in school. Yum! Pizza! Yum! No anchovies! We can taste and we can smell. We can balance very well. We like to see and hear and touch. We like our senses very much. I'm so proud of my child. I'm proud of mine too. Where will she take us next? That's the big question. It ought to be clear they can't enter an ear and don't even try to drive through an eye. Could they go in a nose and not even if they chose? Miss Frizzle's skin is no place to go in. Children cannot hide among the taste buds on the teacher's tongue. The ear of a cat? Oh, never, not that. And even if kids could stand on a brain, they'd stand all in vain. Just let us explain. Oh, you mustn't expect that their feet could detect whatever sensations were going around in the brain of a teacher, a cop, or a hound. In this whole nutty book, is there anything true? Yes, the science is real, so let's shout a woohoo! Let us hear from you. Keep in touch. It's been sweet. See you. Who knows when they'll come again? And that is the end of the story. The Magic School Bus explores the senses. And we don't have any birthdays today. I love reading to you, and I love you, little Jays, and have a wonderful day. And Miss Frizzle will be back tomorrow.